Marine litter is one of the most important human-caused pressures on the marine environment. It affects all the oceans of the world, threatening the balance of the ecosystems. Plastic accounts for more than 80% of the waste found in the seas and beaches. More than 150 million tons of plastic have accumulated in the world's oceans since the 1950s. Huge amounts of plastic continue to flow into our seas, a quantity roughly equivalent to dumping a garbage truck full of plastic into the oceans every minute. Moreover, its complete biodegradation may require from 450 years to eternity. Meanwhile, it breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces known as microplastic. Several species are suffering the effects of marine litter, some of which are already at risk of extinction. Animals can easily mistake floating trash for food. When ingested, litter can choke them, block or perforate their digestive systems. Items such as large bags, old fishing gear, and abandoned nets can damage and even kill animals by entanglement.
It's an acute problem at the moment, basically because it's a human pressure, it's an anthropogenic pressure that we created, and that silently is also poisoning us, all of us, even if without knowing it. I think every one of us is subject to this problem, because through the food webs or through other ways, marine litter or the contaminants associated with marine litter are ingested by us humans, and so it's a sort of a silent killer, let's say. There's a lot of examples, for instance, the amount of microplastics in sea salt.
The European Union Marine Strategy Framework Directive aims to achieve the protection of marine biodiversity and the sustainable use of marine environment across Europe, reaching the good environmental status of the EU's marine waters by 2020. Based on 11 qualitative descriptors, Descriptor 10 is specifically dedicated to marine litter and establishes that the good environmental status is obtained when properties and quantities of marine litter do not cause harm to the coastal and marine environment. Is there a way to monitor the quantity and quality of marine litter present in the seas? What are the impacts of marine litter on the fauna? Several projects have been developed to provide answer to these questions, including the INDICIT project.
That about 80% of the plastic now present in the seas are coming from the terrestrial areas, thanks to big stream and small coastal rivers. And the remaining 20% is coming from marine activities. But why there are so many plastic in this environment? It's because the policies or the way to reduce this pollution is not really efficient in most of the European countries. INDICIT will provide a way to evaluate this pollution pressure.
INDICIT is a 2-year project funded by the European Union, with a consortium composed of 10 partners from 7 countries. Researchers, in collaboration with rescue centers, stranding networks, fishermen, and other stakeholders, try to better understand marine litter and co-build harmonized methods to monitor the impacts on marine fauna.
I have to understand the quantity and the composition of marine litter on the beach, floating on the water column, in the seabed, and also through the quantity of litter ingested by marine animals.
The INDICIT project aims to develop a common approach for monitoring the marine litter ingestion by sea turtles. and helps to define the threshold values by which the good environmental status is achieved. A shared protocol allows the collection of standard data on the composition and quantity of marine litter ingested by sea turtles in order to provide information about the level of marine litter impact on the ecosystems.
Up to 2010, there was only one animal chosen as a bioindicator for the ingestion of plastic, and it was the Fulmarus glacialis. After a pilot study performed by Italian researcher, we proposed the sea turtle Caretta caretta as a bioindicator like the fulmar for the Mediterranean area. This because the fulmar was not present in the Mediterranean basin.
Sea turtle have been proposed as a bioindicator for measuring the impact of marine litter in the seas for three main reasons. First, sea turtles tend to ingest marine debris. They have a large spatial distribution. They use different compartments of the environment, from the bottom to the surface, from the coast to the offshore waters.
Sea turtles, to me, is one of the most important animals in the world because they are like ambassadors. When you ask someone about nature, endangered animals, one of the first animals most people recognize is sea turtles. People knows about sea turtles, people cares about sea turtles. This is very important. And also, turtles are suffering from marine litters.
Azores Islands, a remote, apparently uncontaminated place. Yet plastic and waste have reached also these islands from the sea.
So basically what we're trying to understand is what is the threat caused by plastic in the Azorean ecosystem. Because maybe 10 years ago we didn't have any idea of the quantities of plastic that were on the seafloor, on the surface, but also on the beaches, and what was the ingestion of plastic by marine organisms. And what we're trying to do here in the Azores is try to provide tools to monitor the amount of plastic that is in the environment, but also in the animals, and what kind of impacts plastic is having on marine biodiversity.
The sea turtles that we find here in the Azores are all juveniles. Most of them, more than 90%, belong to the Northwest Atlantic population. So they mainly originate from the rookeries in Florida and the southeastern United States. And then, so it's just a juvenile stage which lasts more or less 7 of 12 years, so that the sea turtles are brought here or move along the currents of the North Atlantic gyre. First the Gulf Stream and then the North Atlantic current and the Azores current. And then after this initial oceanic phase which can last probably a bit more than a decade, these juvenile turtles return to coastal areas in the Caribbean and the northeastern United States. They change their way of life and they start feeding on other prey, and then to then only mature when they're 30 years of age. And then that's when they return for the first time, probably to the beach where they were born initially, to lay eggs.
The studies carried out within Indesit have shown that, although the Azorean turtles are juvenile, they have already ingested a lot of plastic in this important feeding area.
We did a lot of necropsies to try and document what is the frequency of occurrence of litter ingestion in turtles in the Azores. And we found 83% of our turtles, out of a sample of about 30 individuals, have ingested plastic. So what we're finding in our turtles is mostly small plastic fragments that are really difficult to identify the sources. Occasionally we find some pieces of ropes that seems to be coming from fishing activities, but most of it is actually fragments, fragmented items. So that's a difference between other places where they mostly find plastic bags and things like that.
An interesting case in the Azores concerns the discovery of a turtle in the stomach of a tiger shark.
A shark was caught about in the year 2000. So it gives us a snapshot of what the turtle had eaten in 2000, in the year 2000. But it was interesting to see as we saw during the necropsy that we found some plastic fragments again, also a little piece of plastic bag. And this turtle was quite small. So it's a bit worrying to see that at this age they're still ingesting plastic.
However, the Caretta caretta lives also in places characterized by a high rate of anthropization. Camargue, a delicate balance between man and nature, an ecosystem that needs protection. The beauty of the place attracts many tourists.
This place is a feeding area for sea turtles, and if we listen to fishermen, they usually tell us that these animals, so the sea turtles, are following jellyfish, and they are more present at the river mouth.
Sea turtles use this accumulation area, so we think that it's in this location that they eat the marine debris.
We found a stranded dead turtles between Corsica and Tuscany about 1 month ago. This turtle was full of plastics, and we found this turtle just in the area where we were able to evaluate an accumulation of debris.
Over the years, there has been an increase in the number of sea turtles injured by boat engines, found trapped in abandoned fishing nets, or damaged by the ingestion of rubbish. Plastic bags in particular may be mistaken for jellyfish, of which turtles are greedy. For these reasons, in the various countries of the world, sea turtle rescue and rehabilitation centers have been created. They treat injured animals and collect data on the biology of marine turtles. Most of them are involved in research activities, often in collaboration with stranding networks, universities, and environmental institutions. These stakeholders collaborate with the Indesit project by sharing their knowledge and data on sea turtles, in particular the litter ingestion rate. Well, we are here at the Center for Research and Conservation of Mediterranean Sea Turtles at Les Groix du Roi Seaquarium. It is a sea turtle rehabilitation center, and we recover injured sea turtles on the whole French Mediterranean coast. And as such, we recover, on an average, 50 to 60 turtles per year, both alive and dead. The strength of these rescue and rehabilitation centers lies in the involvement of all the people that can encounter wounded or dead turtles. Fishermen, who spend most of their time at sea, play a key role and can provide a precious contribution.
The rescue center has been working closely with fishermen 15 years. More than now, 70% of the animals that we have at the rescue center come from bycatch. Some local fishermen are giving us a call every time they catch a turtle, dead or alive, or when they make observation of animals at sea.
Fishermen realize that there will be less plastic at sea and therefore more fish. Then they would be happy to collaborate with researchers.
We try to meet the fishermen every week, and we discuss with them about different kind of subjects. Could be marine litters, sea turtles, also observations that they made at sea. We're trying to reinforce this trust relationship.
Stranding networks and many specialists in the field, such as biologists and veterinarians from rescue centers, supported Indesit partners in the collection of data on living and dead turtles. Together, they developed a common methodology to evaluate the litter impacts.
We collect the debris ingested by sea turtles, both alive individuals in the rescue centers and the dead individuals that are found by the stranding networks. For the live individuals, we collect the feces excreted every day, and for the dead individuals, we do necropsy and we collect the debris in the digestive tract. We then characterize the debris, the different types of plastic, we quantify them, and at the end we evaluate the frequency of ingestion, the number of turtles which have ingested debris, and the quantity and the type of debris they have ingested.
Each country has its specificities due to the use that the turtle makes of its seas and its beaches. Itsutsu Beach, Dalian, an ancestral place and an important breeding area for sea turtles. Day and night, volunteers patrol the beach to protect over 500 nests.
Decamar is a sea turtle rehabilitation and rescue center. We treat the injured turtles and we monitoring the nesting all night and all the beach. The Dalian Isuzu Beach is 5 kilometers beaches and it's a really important nesting site for Caretta carettas. And in 2 months we have nearly 303 nests, and I think it will be more this year. And we try to protect the nests from predators, and there are a lot of foxes and badgers and sometimes pigs. That's why we cover the nest with cage.
Wounded sea turtles are treated. Then, after a rehabilitation period, they are released back to the sea, while dead turtles are analyzed through a necropsy, possibly to find out the cause of death.
Sometimes some plastics cut the stomach, and that's why turtles die.
We usually find plastic bags, and also we find fishing lines. It's very common, but sometimes we find very strange things. For example, we found a beer can in the stomach of sea turtles, and also we found a whistle, a whistle with a toy.
For Indesit project, we also collect the data for plastics. We really find a lot of plastic for their intestine, and we also collect them for separately which kind of plastics are there. And usually we found fishing line and fishing hooks is really bad things for them.
Every year, sea turtles arrive on Itsutsu Beach to lay their eggs in April. Researchers and volunteers take measures and collect litter, also to assess the relationship between body condition and litter ingestion. The hatchlings start emerging from their nests in July. Volunteers on the night patrols count and record the number of empty eggshells. measure the depth and diameter of all the nests on the beach, their distance from the sea, and their GPS position. They also saved the hatchlings that were unable to reach the surface, bringing them back to life and to the sea. Italy, one of the richest European countries in biodiversity, another place chosen by sea turtles to live and reproduce.
One of the deliverables of the project is the shoot of a video tutorial. This video tutorial is really important because it allows different researchers in different parts of the world to follow a standardized protocol. It shows all the activity performed, start from the collection of the animal, the stranded animal on the beach, the necropsy operation with the isolation of the gastrointestinal tract, the analysis of the gastrointestinal contents, and the classification and quantification of marine litter.
The Indesit protocol will be useful because it will allow, for the first time, to compare the collected data on the material eaten by the sea turtles in different European countries.
During these 2 years of project, we collected around 1,000 samples of sea turtles, stranded or by catch, with the help of fishermen.
And the results are dramatic.
60% of sea turtles ingested marine litter, and the main percentage is plastic.
In general, we subdivide the plastic items in sheet-like, thread-like, or fragment, and other kind of plastics. And the sheet-like, for sure, is the main material, main items that we found in the sea turtles.
This is the last turtle we held in the rescue center, and the problem of this turtle was that there was a fishing line into the intestine. Our vet removed all the line, and now the turtle is in a good health state. This turtle will be released probably next summer, but in the meantime we will monitor her behavior, and in particular the releasing of plastic.
The Indesit project has confirmed the Caretta caretta as a valid bioindicator for monitoring marine litter, both in the Mediterranean and in the Atlantic Ocean. The participation of several countries is essential, as marine litter pollution goes beyond the national borders. The project allowed to develop tools for a harmonized implementation of bioindicators, aiming to monitor marine litter ingestion by sea turtles on a large scale. This is necessary to evaluate the efficiency of protection and restoration measures, and to define new and more effective strategies to fight marine litter.
If we reduce the gaps, the knowledge gaps about marine litter issues, policymaker and manager can improve the governance at the European, international and national level. The European Commission 2018 produced an important legal framework, the plastic strategy on the circular economy.
It's impossible to think nowadays to eliminate completely plastic from our life, but it's important to understand which is the noxiousness of the plastic in the marine environment.
The results of the Indesit project encourage us to undertake a virtuous process to protect the marine environment and its marvelous creatures and ecosystems.
I'm really happy about this project.
We need to reach people.
And to really tackle the problem of marine litter.
Thanks to this ability to work together.
It is time to reverse the course. We were born in the ocean, and we have been using it like a landfill for the last 70 years, destroying habitats and threatening marine life. Now we have to take care of it. The choices that we do every day can make the difference. Communities and governments are becoming sensitive to the problem. Younger generations increasingly aware of the state of the environment, and researchers, thanks to projects like Indesit, are reducing the gap of knowledge.